Iran's military says it has complete control of the Strait of Hormuz. The narrow waterway that carries roughly 1/5 of the world's oil is now effectively shut down amid the ongoing war between the United States, Israel, and Iran. And President Trump says the U.S. Navy will begin escorting tankers through that same waterway as soon as possible. More than 3,000 ships are sitting idle in the Persian Gulf right now, with nowhere to go. You are watching NowBurst. This is unfolding in real time, and here is everything we know. The Strait of Hormuz is about 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. It sits between Iran to the north and Oman and the United Arab Emirates to the south, and it is the only sea route out of the Persian Gulf. Under normal conditions, tankers carrying millions of barrels of crude oil pass through this corridor every day on their way to refineries in Asia, Europe, and other markets. There is no real alternative for the sheer volume of energy this waterway moves. When it closes, the global oil supply doesn't slow down, it stops. On Wednesday, IRGC Navy official Mohammed Akbarzadeh stated that the strait is under the complete control of Iran's Navy. The statement was carried by Iran's Fars news agency. Al Jazeera's correspondent in Tehran reported that the IRGC said passage through the strait was impossible and that more than 10 oil tankers had been targeted since the conflict began. But one ship appears to have slipped through. Reuters reported that an oil tanker called the Pola switched off its automatic identification system late on Monday as it approached the strait. The vessel reappeared on Tuesday off Abu Dhabi, according to shipping sources and ship tracking data. A rare transit, with the ship's transponder deliberately silenced. A tanker running dark through contested waters to reach a loading port. That single voyage tells you how tightly this choke point is being controlled right now. The broader numbers are severe. Clarkson's research, which tracks global shipping data, estimates that roughly 3,200 ships, about 4% of all global ship tonnage, are idle inside the Gulf. Around 1,230 of those likely operate only within Gulf waters and wouldn't normally transit the strait. But outside the strait, about 500 more ships are waiting at ports off the coasts of the UAE and Oman, unable to enter. Oil markets have reacted fast. Brent crude has climbed past $82 a barrel, up more than 13% since the conflict started. That is the highest oil price since July 2024. If you drive a car or heat your home, you feel this. And if you buy food hauled by truck, you feel it again. And the money side of global shipping is starting to crack. Maritime insurers have begun canceling war risk coverage for vessels operating in the Gulf. Without that coverage, shipping companies won't send their tankers in. It doesn't matter if the water is technically passable. If you can't insure the cargo, the voyage doesn't happen. The disruption goes beyond crude oil. Air cargo across the Middle East has been grounded by airspace closures, another break in a supply chain that's now failing in more than one place. Trump responded on Tuesday with a post on Truth Social. He stated that the U.S. Navy will begin escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible. He said the United States would keep energy moving to the world, cited America's economic and military strength, and added that more actions would follow. Iran's IRGC, for its part, stated that the strait is under its full control and that unauthorized passage is not possible. Two direct statements pointing in opposite directions over the same stretch of water. Countries that depend on Gulf energy aren't waiting to see who blinks first. Pakistan imports most of its energy through the Strait of Hormuz. On Wednesday, Pakistan's Ministry of Energy announced it had asked Saudi Arabia to reroute oil supplies through the Red Sea port of Yanbu, bypassing the strait entirely. Saudi Arabia said it would support Pakistan's emergency energy needs through that alternative route. One vessel has already been arranged to sail to Yanbu and load crude for Pakistan. Petroleum Minister Ali Pervaiz Malik stated that the government is closely monitoring the situation to ensure continuity of supply. But Yanbu can't replace Hormuz, not at scale. India and Europe are also feeling the pressure as Gulf gas supplies face growing disruption. The longer the strait stays closed, the deeper those shortages cut into daily life, from fuel prices to electricity generation to the cost of transporting food. What happens next depends on a waterway barely 21 miles wide. The United States says tankers will pass through. Iran says they won't. Every day, the strait stays shut. The economic damage compounds, and the pressure to act rises on both sides. The Pola, that lone tanker that went dark and slipped through on Monday, is sitting quietly off Abu Dhabi right now. Its crew made it across. But the next vessel through the Strait of Hormuz may not be running silent. It may be flanked by warships. And in a passage this narrow, the distance between a standoff and a miscalculation is measured in minutes.